Hey guys, as you can see, I did get the biomass, and all you have to do to enter into my giveaway for 600 subs is subscribe to my channel and comment your gamer tag. Hopefully, it's not too hard to subscribe, because at least you must be a little intrigued if you clicked on this video. And if you could subscribe, not only would that get you into the giveaway, but it would also mean a lot to me. Anyway, join the Discord server if you want, the link is in the description, and let's get into the video.
You know I came through. You know I came through. You know I came through with the fuego. You know I came through. Hey, you know I came through. You know I came through with the fuego. You know I came through. Hey, you know I came through. Nowadays, I cannot lay low. I cannot lay low. Yeah, I cannot lay low. You know I came through.
Okay guys, as you might have guessed from the video, today I will be comparing the Octane versus Dominus, and so I thought this was fitting because it's definitely a question that goes through a lot of people's minds as well as myself. And since I'm doing nothing no white Dominus, I figured this was pretty fitting, and this is kind of why I chose the white Dominus. I mean, I've had the white Octane, that was the main reason, but you know. So I'm not going to tell you which one I actually like better until the end, just so you guys can watch through and hear all my reasoning to why. But anyway, yeah, let's get straight into the video. So, the first thing I have to say is that the Octane is obviously a lot less flat than the Dominus. And there's ups and downs to this, but the main thing that I think that's really good about this is kickoffs, because if you look at the shape of the Octane, like just purely look at the shape, the top little kind of arc on the Octane will make the ball, when you're sideways, because I flip sideways for my kickoffs, it'll make it either go to the left or the right. And this is good because that means if you just mess up your kickoff and you don't really hit the ball too much, but you hit it a little bit, it's never just going to go straight. It'll just go to like this post or something, and it might even give you a good bounce to get a counterattack like I'm showing you now. But the Dominus, when you're doing a kickoff and you flip to the side, it's perfectly flat. So when you hit it, the ball has a much better chance to just go right on past you. And especially since it's flat on the top, if you mess up or don't flip in time, like if you're doing the speed flip, as some of you might know how to do, which I'll probably do a tutorial on that at some point, it'll just go straight in the goal, like here. But as you can see, what I just did there was a flick. And so that takes us to the next point that's actually in the Dominus's favor. Since it's so flat, which was its downside from the last one, it actually does much better flicks. So you can pretty much just do a flick at any moment if you're good at flicking. I mean, you're going to get air flicks with any car, but the Dominus, just because it's so flat and long, you can just, the whole car will just come forward, and it'll get you powerful flicks that, like, as you saw with the Fennec, just kind of similar like that. It'll just go way over the goalpost sometimes, and I figure that's good, even if it doesn't go in, because I don't know if you guys have had this problem, but at least for me, I've had a big problem with air flicking in the Octane, and it's just not the same sometimes. And so I'm not going to go in the Octane and show you guys how to flick, because I have a lot more points I want to get through, but that is a really big one. The next thing, I don't know if you guys know this, but there are actually some cards that actually turn slower. An example of this is the Octane turns much faster than the Fennec. It just has a wider turn radius, and I just know that because just from a lot of hours in time, I've looked at, there's been statistics, and it's just, they just turn slower. And that can be good for certain times. It kind of makes for more precision if it's slower for aerialing, but then for getting back to your goal, it's kind of slower. So just from being in the Dominus, I do know that it is a little bit lower than the Octane, but not as much as the Fennec is compared to the Octane. Now, what I will do is I will in a second show you the difference of the Octane, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But even then, you might not be able to notice it, and you don't notice it until you're in a game about to get scored on. You need to turn quickly. So it is really important when you stop to think about it. Okay, we're back with the Octane, and as you can see, it's kind of hard because my controller's got stick drift, but it's turning pretty quickly, and the Fennec turns more like that, kind of like a lot slower. I'm just not like moving the joystick to its full extent, which like isn't too bad. But anyway, we're talking about the Dominus, so the Dominus is like a lot faster than the Fennec, but it's still not as fast. Now the next thing that's a big thing, especially once you get to the higher ranks, is, I mean, I don't know all of your guys' ranks. I know I've talked to a lot of you, and a lot of you are like kind of bronze to plat. but if there are any of you in like Diamond or even higher than me, and like Champ, Grand Champ, and SSL, then there's definitely a difference to how you do flip resets, air dribbles, and other freestyle mechanics with the Octane and Dominus. Now, as you know, my wrist is broken, so I'm definitely not going to be doing like a little flip reset tutorial for you, but I can do them kind of still a little bit. But now the biggest thing with the Octane is, so I'm just going to try and model a flip reset, and I do flip, that's terrible setup, but you know. Anyway, before I go into another one, if you just look at the bottom of the Octane, look how close the wheels are together. Now, for you to get the flip reset, the ball has to touch on the bottom piece of your car, so like the actual metal part. If it touches the wheels, you're a lot less likely to actually get the reset. Which is why the Dominus, since it's so long, the wheels are so far apart, you get the flip a lot easier. And now, this is good, but since I would use the Octane for a long time, I kind of got used to it. And so when I usually do resets, which I can't do it as well when I'm talking to people, but I usually end up getting the flip anyway. Like, I didn't get it there, and that's partly because you can kind of feel it too. Like, you can feel it when it's hitting your wheels. But the same thing goes for air dribbles, which, yeah, and ground pinches, ceiling shots. Whatever freestyle mechanics you want to do. Since the Dominus is so flat, you can like dribble it easier. Like, you know, the Octane's kind of stubby, for lack of better words. And so to actually carry it on your car is a lot harder. But it just gets easier with the Dominus, and so I'll show you what I mean here in a second. And I mean the Jaeger for that matter too, if any of you guys have the Jaeger. But the Dominus is definitely what I kind of learned to do flip resets and good air dribbles on. So yeah, that's definitely good for that. Okay, so as you can see, the Dominus, the front of the car is like pretty flat, and so if I'm gonna go into an air dribble real quick, let's just see. Which is a terrible setup, but you can just see how much easier it is to like kind of get control. Now that was a bad setup, and that's my fault. So I obviously didn't take into the goal, but when I don't have a broken wrist, I'm usually pretty consistent for air dribbles. And that one I wasn't really trying on. But anyway, I'm gonna do a flip reset real quick, or at least my best attempt. Well, actually, first you can see that the wheels are pretty far apart there, and so that'll help because when I don't get the flip reset here, well, you'll get the gist anyway, but I just want to have at least an attempt where I do somewhat good. Yeah, you can see that. There we go. I just did a flip reset, and that actually worked out kind of well. But anyway, you can see here on the replay how the wheels are kind of far apart, and so that allowed me to get the flip reset even if it wasn't that good of one. And you can definitely see the difference with the Octane because I almost feel like the wheels are smaller with the Dominus, but like when you get the reset with the Octane, it's like you feel it. You feel the controller vibrating, and that's how you know it's hitting the wheels. It like feels like a soft touch, if that makes any sense. So, my last point, which will decide whether or not the Octane is better than Dominus, and I'll go back to the Octane too just to show you what I mean. But a lot of you guys probably know this because it's pretty straightforward. The Dominus is flat. Very flat. And so this might seem good because, like I said, you can get better freestyle stuff. And so the people that are freestylers will probably use the Dominus from time to time, or main it for that matter. And that because this allows them to hit better shots. I'm not a freestyler, and at least not a professional one. I like freestyling and all, but for the most part, you can freestyle with the Octane. It's just kind of more versatile. But basically what I'm saying is like you can flip and just miss the ball like that just because it's flat, and that's not a good example because flipping it means it's longer, but generally speaking, anything you can go under it just because it's flat, and it can cause you goals. It won't get you goals because going under it like that, which obviously I hit it, will never gain you a goal unless it's like a fake for your teammate, but that's rare. It's better if you just miss it, or it looks like you're gonna hit it and you miss it. The Octane is just a good way to kind of make that happen less because it's just taller, and so it's better to have a taller car when you're driving under stuff like that. Like, it doesn't look like I was gonna hit that, but if I did think I was going to, or didn't have time to flip, then I would want the Octane for that because the Octane probably would have hit that. Anyway, I'll be right back as I get on the Octane. Okay, we are back in the Octane, and real quick before we get into the rest of the video, I just want to say quickly, if you guys are watching this point in the video, you obviously enjoy the content, or at least this video if this is your first, and it would mean a lot to me, especially since I'm such a small content creator, if you could subscribe. Because I do know that 30% of you guys that watch my videos or more aren't subscribed, and it would definitely make my day if you could subscribe, because even just one more subscriber, I notice. So anyway, let's get back into the rest of the video. So as you can see here with the Octane, it's just taller, so you can do a lot more stuff, and like without the fear that you'll go under it. Like right there, you never really know if the ball's just gonna bounce right to the side of you or you're just gonna go under it with the Dominus. But at the very least, you can know that if you don't have time to flip, you can hit it at least a little bit like that. Because at the very least, it'll throw the opponent off guard, and sometimes it's all you need. Because if you just drive under this, like I just did there, I drove a little bit to the side. So if you went under that like you would in the Dominus, then they would just have an easy counterattack, as you'd still probably be boosting, and they would just score. Just like that. So with the Octane, since it's so tall, you would just go under it. Or not go under it, you'd go under it, possibly, but you would hit it still. And that's what makes the Octane a better choice, in my opinion, at least for that. And just that can save you a goal, and I don't know if in ones, but I know in twos and threes, one goal can be really hard to come back from, especially threes. I know how hard it is to rank up in threes, and one goal, it's just sometimes the end of you, even if there's 4.5 minutes left. And so if you're the last man back and that happens to you, your teammates might not be happy, and you're probably not going to be happy, which is why the Octane is a better choice for that. However, weighing all of the points, just like so, it's easier to steer, the Octane is easier to steer, the Dominus is easier to freestyle in, easier to flick in, the Octane's easier to do kickoffs in, and just more versatile in general. I would say, overall, that the Octane is better, though I do like the Dominus a lot, but the Octane is better, and here's why. If you think about it, what costs the most goals is having a bad kickoff and doing mistakes, at least at the mid to lower levels. Once you get a little bit better, it's not going to matter quite as much because you're going to get the flip in, you're going to do speed flips right and all that. But it's kind of like having your training wheels on a bike. It's not better in the long run, but for while you have it or while you need it, it helps a lot. And I'm not saying the Octane's like training wheels entirely, because the Octane is the most popular car in all of Rocket League. It isn't. A lot of the pros use it, but the Dominus is worth more in white. And so it's really just what you prefer, and I'd say for the lower levels, the Octane might be better just because the faster turning and like it's easier to come back from a mistake in it. But if you feel like you're like a little bit more flawless, not flawless per se, but kind of just make less mistakes, then the Dominus might be a good choice for you, because it does give you better freestyle mechanics, which is what you need to score at some of those higher levels. Now for me, I don't use either. Well, I use the Octane a lot more than I use the Dominus, and I've definitely mained the Octane, but for the most part, I've been using the Fennec recently, just because it's kind of just been better just for the hits and all that. But if you guys really enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe, like I said before, and yeah, I'll know that you guys like this and maybe even do another one. So comment down below if you want me to do another one and what cars you want me to compare, and I will see what I can do about it. Keep in mind, I know some of the DLC packs, I have the worst Batmobile and the Ghostbusters car. So I don't have the Skyline or the kind of good Batmobile car, in most people's opinion. So keep that in mind when you're commenting, and I'll see you on Wednesday for another video.